welcome to the Ranger Wrap-Up. Whole bunch of stuff, different content creators, all bringing you a fantastic show every single Saturday. This week, of course, we have Joe and Jezra in the studio, maybe with more special guests. Josh is coming to you with toy news. We've got Ash with the comics. We've got fan theories. We've got a fan club spotlight. Woo! We've got a lot of stuff to talk about. Arlem? It's Heirloom, but I'm going to call him Arlem now from here on out with the Henshin Hangout. And my name is Ranger Liz, and we are going to be talking about all the news and the stuff that happened in your world of Power Rangers. Hi! We had a few things this week, so stick around. Matt Groom is going to be leaving the comics, chat about that in a bit. A little bit of Pride stuff happening, big things with showrunners. Got some big news on that for the Power Ranger universe. That is going to be on the way. Before you get too settled in, though, if you're enjoying the show, please leave a like on it. Make sure you're subscribed if you're not already. You can also check out the links in the notes so you can find the direct links to all of the creators and everybody you're going to see on the show today. And, of course, if you want, hit that super chat and let us know what you're thinking about the show. Chat, I hope you're having a fantastic day so far. Let us know, how's your week been? Guys, mine absolutely flew by. That's also because it's technically Thursday night. I digress. It's Saturday afternoon, right? Right. I'm going to mention the first thing this week is that Hasbro put out these awesome Pride shirts. Yeah, Izzy and Fern. And they did put something on YouTube, I believe, earlier this week. It was about Izzy and Fern. So, yeah, awesome. So, they have this shirt that is out. There's also a My Little Pony one. And it's only going to be $25. You can get it in like 4 different colors. And it comes up to size 4XL. So for all of my friends, no matter what size you are, they're going to hook you up. $25, $5 is going to be going to the Trevor Project, which is a great organization. So happy Pride Month to everybody. My rainbow flag has been, I've just been really busy. I'm sorry. I've kind of blown off Pride Month this month. It's just bad, Liz. Bad. Sorry. Silky smooth, luxurious fabric. Printing on June 20th. Estimated arrival for ya the 4th of July. Meaning you're not going to really get it because the post office, like, who's getting mail delivered on the 4th of July? I don't know. But maybe you'll get it and show that flag off. Yeah! Be you! Awesome. Happy Pride Month. Everyone, next bit of news. This happened actually technically last week, but it was later, so we didn't really talk about it, but Matt Groom is also going to be leaving the Power Ranger comic universe. He said, Mighty Morphin 22 coming in August will be my last issue. I've had a tremendous time working team and Boom editorial team. It's bittersweet, but it's been a lovely experience, and the Rangers are in great hands. So this is crazy. Yeah, Big Charge 100, Ryan Parrott's leaving. Matt's going to be leaving after issue 22. Wow. And if you want to stay tuned, I have some more stuff in comics and the future of comics and where all the books and stuff we're heading. So stay tuned till later, and Ash is going to be giving you a bit of update on all of that. But I got to say, best wishes to Matt Groom. However, he's fine. If you want to read anything else by him, he did put this out. It is called Self-Made. It is pretty awesome. And he's actually going to be writing on Inferno Girl Red, which is coming out later this year. There's a Kickstarter and stuff. I'm actually a backer on it. Very excited to see it. It's going to be in like the whole Radiant Black universe, which I know is in Power Rangers, but some of y'all really love. And he is currently on the Ultraman stuff, so the comics. So if you want Ultra 7, he's currently writing that as well with previous Power Rangers writer Kyle Higgins, they're also busy. Again, sad they're leaving, but, you know, something that Ryan Parrott also created for Power Rangers was the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers TMNT crossover. Woo! And out of that, we've gotten some Lightning Collection figures, but now we are getting some Funko Pops, San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, of course. It doesn't say anything about price or how many of them or anything are actually going to be there. It is just going to be a Funko limited edition. So I guess this is going to be another convention. Are going to get the other ones because there's really, remember they made they made 3 2-packs and then the Shredder one. Right. So that is more toy stuff. I do have to say, I want to ask you guys in chat, did you pick up anything this week? Did you have any hauls? I found this guy at Ross for only $4.50. This is some construction set here. I thought it would be fun to maybe put it together. But yeah, it was only $5. So I'm like, okay, I'm a sucker. I have to get it. Chat, did any of you guys pick up anything this week? Doesn't necessarily have to be Power Ranger related. Maybe you're a G.I. Joe fan, Transformers or whatever. I totally understand. I have some Transformers friends myself. I only know of Wheeljack because of Josh. Apparently. It's a weird... Anywho, let us know in chat if you picked up anything. And speaking of Josh, this is about whenever I throw it over to Josh because he has other toy news to talk about. So, don't you, Josh? Take it away, boy wonder.
Hello, Power Rangers Lightning Collection fans. This is Josh Perry from the Illuminerdi, and here's everything that happened this past week for the Power Rangers Lightning Collection. First of all, for this week, Hasbro Pulse sent out some emails claiming that the Deluxe Wave 1 figures of Piranha's Head and In Space Blue with the Galaxy Glider are going to finally be shipping out from the site pretty soon here, which is great because I didn't realize that they weren't already out at Pulse. I thought they would have been out at different stores for months at this point, so I didn't realize that Pulse didn't have them yet. But if you got them from Pulse or you were waiting on them from Pulse, it looks like you're going to be getting them pretty soon. Also, speaking of in stocks, if you got Ready Clipdoor from Big Bad Toy Store, that has also been in stock now in Big Bad Toy Store, which just adds to the list of different fan channel retailers that have been getting Ready Clipdoor in stock the last couple of weeks, like In-Demand Toys and Entertainment Earth, and now Big Bad Toy Store, and even Hasbro Pulse even had them a couple weeks ago. So that figure's pretty much out at all the major fan channels. I think only like GameStop is like one of the only ones that hasn't had him yet. So if there's plenty of places for you to get him if you haven't gotten him yet. And then moving over to the UK retailer Star Action Toys posted on their Facebook page an update of some different Hasbro products that they are expecting to come in stock by the end of July, including a couple of big ticket Lightning Collection items that are going to be arriving in the UK a little earlier than their originally slated release dates, and that is the Zord Ascension Project Dino Megazord and the most recently revealed Blue Ranger helmet and Blue Ranger Power Lance. So a lot of those were slated for like August or October or even December for like the lance and the helmet. So this is definitely kind of a surprise, especially if you got them from this UK retailer, because you might have to pay for these very expensive items a couple months earlier than you were expecting. So just keep that in mind if you're a fan of the UK, and even if you're not, if those actually get released by the end of the month of July in the UK, it's possible that they could release here a little earlier in the US as well. So just everybody get prepared for those big 3 items to actually be shipping out a little sooner than was originally slated. And with that, that's everything we have to talk about for this week. We're kind of in the middle of a big Lightning Collection drought right now, ever since our last official announcement nearly a month ago. But if you guys would like to check out the full episode of Lightning Storm, where I go in detail on all these different stories and a little bit more, you can check that out on the Toku Topics YouTube channel right now, as well as my articles over at the Illuminerdi, and you can follow me on Twitter at LivingRangerKey or LightningFigPR. And this has been a little quickie Lightning Storm.
The big story this week, Jenny Klein has signed an overall deal for television content with independent studio Entertainment One. Under this 2-year entertainment with Hasbro, right? Under the 2-year pact, Klein will serve as showrunner on E1's Power Ranger series that is currently in development in Netflix. So this came out Tuesday. Huge, because first, we haven't had news in forever. If you would like my whole 10-minute whatever thought of it, I don't know if there'll be a card, but you can go ahead and check out my page, and it should be the most recently updated video, so I have a much longer video talking about it. But for the sake of this, because believe me, y'all in chat, especially live chat, we're gonna be talking about this, so everybody's gonna be talking about it in the studio, so I don't want to go, like, you know, beat a dead horse or whatever too much. But this is really awesome because we haven't had any news in, like, forever. And to have anything is just really nice. I need news. And I'm sure everyone back in the studio, we're going to tell you more about Jenny Klein and go over the movies and everything else and the series and stuff that she's done. But I do want to let you know that I told you right away because, hey, Jonathan Entwistle was like, he took Power Rangers off his Twitter. Does that mean something? I don't know. Goes on to say she'll collaborate on the series with Jonathan Entwistle, who is currently overseeing the Power Rangers universe under a deal he signed in 2020 to develop the franchise across film and television. It's going to be a whole universe, and I hope it is for me and not against me. Because I really just, this brand, we just need something right now. I know, it's all simmering. It's all on the surface right now. But hopefully we have some stuff more soon. But right now, I'm very happy with this. Let me know what you guys think about getting a new showrunner, because, again, let's do spoilers. We'll talk about it more in the live segments. She's done some really amazing things. And I hope this means Power Rangers is going to turn into a really, really amazing thing. And I will say that Simon Bennett, because through all of this, you know, he's on Dino Fury right now, and he hasn't been mentioned in all of this. He went on, and it was after words, you know, everything had gone out. He tweeted, "I'm still here. Hashtag Dino Fury." So I don't know if he's still, I mean, Dino Fury is still happening right now, right? To which I said, I'm very thankful that he's still here. In fact, a few weeks ago, Joe had asked me, hey, what would you think if, you know, Jonathan was out and Simon Bennett took over? And I was like, I would be okay with it. He's done the work. Like, he gets the show. He's getting, you know, the heart of the show. So, okay, I would be fine with it. And so he just said, I'm still here. I am not going to, there are no rumors, do not take anything I say. I'm not saying he's still, like, he's going to be a part of the huge universe. Maybe he's just there still just for Dino Fury. Maybe he's in other parts, you know, that they're just not talking about. We have absolutely no idea. But he is still here. And he's always here in our hearts. Because Dino Fury is really awesome. My God, we needed to win. So my name is Ranger Liz. If you want to follow me on social media at Ranger_Liz, basically everywhere. And I've got to tell you, my maybe favorite pickup of the week is not Ranger related, but I got a black pink in your area. I got a light stick, also at Ross for only $6. Never thought I would see one in my entire life, let alone at a Ross for only $6. But it makes me really happy. So I hope you guys enjoyed my part of the show. Have an absolutely fantastic Saturday, Ranger Nation. And I'm going to go ahead and throw it back to the studio where they can talk about everything we just did with all of you. Use Super Chats. Like, subscribe, comment, later.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bennett. That was a lot of fun. Simon Bennett, man, give it up for Simon Bennett. He's a great showrunner for Power Rangers. Fantastic. We also had a couple super chats in there, which we should address. Or we had a super chat in there, right? Let's see. KB Vlog says, "What's your favorite season of Power Rangers?" I'm pretty sure that was for Simon Bennett, but we're going to answer that question for Mr. KB Vlogs. Heirloom, let's start with you. What was your favorite season of Power Rangers, my friend?
Zeo. It's fantastic season.
That is a good one.
Jezzer, what are you going with? What are you going to go with?
Lost Galaxy. I like Lost Galaxy.
Ooh, well, all right. Ash?
Time Force.
Oh, my least favorite season.
And you, Joe?
Time Force. You know what? I'm going to say SPD. SPD Emergency. It actually changes between SPD, Zeo, and RPM, but I'm going to say SPD on this fine day, on this beautiful Saturday.
Yeah, mine will change throughout the week as well, depending on how I'm feeling or what clips I find on YouTube and be like, oh, this was a good season.
Yo, we got a dude named Jeffrey Maguire in here from Northern Ireland. Welcome to the show, Jeffrey. We hope you're enjoying, I don't know what time it is out there in Ireland, but that's awesome that you're watching us from Ireland. But let's talk about it, guys. Fan discussion, Ranger Nation discussion of the week. We're going to be talking about the new Power Rangers. Jenny Klein. Let's kick it off. Jenny Klein is going to be taking over as Power Ranger showrunner. We don't know the exact time, but we do know this is going to be part of Jonathan Entwistle's, I guess, newly expanding Power Rangers universe, which seems like it's going to be a completely new timeline, I guess we can call it. Universe, I guess we can say. He did say that there's going to be some familiar faces from the past, but this is going to be something completely new. Let's get your takes on this. First of all, let's also welcome Jenny Klein to Ranger Nation, the Power Ranger fandom. Thank you so much for taking over this franchise. Yeah. We're excited to see it. But we also, hey, listen, we also love what Simon Bennett's doing, and we'll talk about that and how we think this can all work out. But let's get our initial reactions about Jenny. Aaron, let's start with you.
I'm looking forward to for her to joining. I think from reading what she's done, like Jessica Jones and some of the Marvel stuff, I really like Jessica Jones from like season 1. And so seeing that sort of kind of like bringing in, I think that's going to definitely change Power Rangers how we're going to see it. And also, she looks a lot like that girl from Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, Katie Sackhoff?
That's it. One of my friends pointed that out, and I was just like, damn, that's true, she does. But I am happy that she's in there. So I'm looking forward to what's going to happen. If it turns out like Jessica Jones and all that, I'm on board 100%.
So let's back this up for a hot second, because previously in the past, I know that we knew that when Jonathan Entwistle kind of took over, there was going to be a handful of these different Power Ranger type of properties that we were going to be getting. There was rumors of this animation show that was going to be happening. There was rumors about a more, I don't want to say adult version, but is it a more darker version? I don't know what the right terminology we can use, but an aged up version is something that it looked like we were getting. What else was there, Ash? You had mentioned it off camera for a second.
Animated, I believe. Hasbro said they want to do something animated.
Right.
An animated series.
So let's talk about how this can possibly fit into those plans. Do you think that, I mean, it seems for all intents and purposes, she's brought in to kind of helm whatever's going to be happening going forward on Netflix. Now, one of the questions that we did get in the super chat was, do we think that she's going to be taking over for the 30th anniversary in 2023? Short answer to that, I said earlier, was no, I don't think so. I think Simon Bennett is going to be working on whatever series is going to be shooting in New Zealand, because I do think that when Jenny Klein takes over, I have a strong feeling that the show's going to move somewhere else outside of New Zealand.
LA?
What do you guys think about that?
What do you mean?
I mean, it's a possibility.
From what I've seen, is people have talked about going over to Vancouver because, again, it might be cheaper over there or something like that. But that's where a lot of the films are. So if they do decide to say crossover, let's say, because you have, like, in Cloak and Dagger, you have Emma Lahana. So if she's still filming for something over there, it'd be like, hey, you just come across and be in this, and boom, you've got Dino Thunder right there. Or if any of the other ones move across, like you had Brennan, he was over for doing Supergirl. I know obviously he's in LA, but if you bring him into it, boom, there's another one. So yeah, I think it's possible that it's a lot easier for them to film and also more appealing to.
I don't know if is she based out of there, because I think Cloak and Dagger ended maybe 2 years ago. So
yeah, I don't think it was a long show. I think it had a couple of seasons.
By the way, you guys in the chat, you guys have the ability to hit that super chat feature. We will answer any questions that come in. So yeah, hit that super chat feature. Let's talk about this for a second, Heirloom, because you had mentioned some of these past Rangers jumping around in Canada being a part of this production. From everything that we know, though, it seems like this is going to be a new Power Ranger universe. So I think maybe we'll get some of those characters, but not necessarily the same actors. What says you, Jessica?
So you're saying, like, if they were to bring back
I'll give you a really good example. I think that there's a possibility we'll get another Jason, but I don't think that Jason's going to be played by Austin St. John. But there's also a possibility that this may not involve any characters that we currently know that or have been introduced to in the Power Ranger universe up
I'm
to
totally
now.
fine with it.
You know what I mean?
I am totally fine with that.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people, if they look at they just want the suits. So thinking about it, like everyone hated Super Megaforce, but if you had like the Super Megaforce red suit, and that's randomly put on someone else, and then he comes in and he's just like whatever they want him to be like, I feel like people would be more excited because it has that kind of like, if you don't show the person who's the actor in that suit and then they demorph and it's just like, oh, there is Stephen Amell, and you're like, holy crap, they got Stephen Amell in, and then it's more kind of exciting. I feel like that's something that could work in their favor.
Completely agree with that. Now, here's an interesting thing. So I know way back, gosh, I want to say it was like 2020 when we broke the news.
In 2020.
Broke the news about the toy split from, at that time, Hasbro. Well, still at this time, Hasbro. It seems like those plans to bring Jenny Klein in have to do with that. I do think that COVID obviously has us in the position we are. I think a lot of the plans would have been accelerated had COVID not hit. But it definitely seems like what they're planning doesn't involve any Super Sentai adaptation. Would you guys agree or disagree with that?
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, with that being, go ahead, Jessica.
I think that the initial plan was set pre-COVID, and once COVID hit, they had to move things around, and I think currently they're still trying to figure it out. I don't necessarily know if we're gonna hit that target date for when they're gonna, usually when they release the next season or whatever. I don't know if they're gonna hit that target date. I think there's gonna be a little bit of a lull,
Now, there's been a big discussion amongst Ranger Nation on what they kind of want to see from the future going forward. And I know that a lot of fans, there's a particular set of fans out there that feel that the Japanese adaptation into American footage equals Power Rangers. Is that a staple that you guys need in order to consider it Power Rangers? I mean, a great point of that is I know that we took the characters from the 2017 movie and we took a completely new aesthetic. And a lot of people said that, like, that's not my Power Rangers. So in order for it to be considered your Power Rangers, does it need to be adapted from the Japanese Super Sentai? Or what are the elements that need to be included for it to be considered Power Rangers?
I think we need to let go of that mentality. I think that's not my Power. Yeah. We need to let go of that mentality. I think that the goal here, especially now for Hasbro, for this franchise to be successful, is new fans, or bringing in a new demographic of fans. I mean, while still paying homage to the original series and to the fans. I think if you just keep going about it with that mentality, you're not gonna see any growth as a franchise. And I think in order to get like a new audience, you have to change things up, but still like have little hints of the 30 years of lore that they've had. But I think that the fans, especially the ones that feel entitled to the franchise, if you don't have any money invested into the franchise, into the brand, then you have to let the brand do what they need to do to be successful.
Mariba makes a great point. He says, what about Snake Eyes? Wasn't the performance of Snake Eyes a factor in the delay as well? Absolutely. I think that really showed Hasbro that they couldn't play it as fast and loose as they wanted to with some of their properties outside of, like, I mean, obviously Hasbro has the license for Marvel and Star Wars, but not considering Transformers, Power Rangers, G.I. Joe. Those are hardcore Hasbro properties. Obviously My Little Pony falls into that as well. But Snake Eyes did not perform to the level they wanted it to. It did not kick off their G.I. Joe cinematic universe in the way that they wanted it to. There's been no further announcements of any other G.I. Joe films. So, I mean, it really did hinder those plans, which obviously I think is a trickle-down effect. That's a lot of money lost. I believe opening weekend, Snake Eyes made $8 million, which is definitely not its budget. And that had to be a trickle-down effect, from the top. So that probably had some factor into it too. By the way, in the chat, I want to know personally is what are some of the benchmark things that need to be in this new iteration that Jenny's taking over to be considered Power Rangers to you guys? Because I'm with Jezra on this. I feel like that old school mentality of like, okay, it needs to be adapted from the Japanese Super, needs to hit these, it needs to be rubber monsters. I agree. I feel like that doesn't necessarily need to be what Power Rangers is. I do agree with that.
One thing that's quite interesting is if you look at Samurai, it was a carbon copy of Shinkenger, and everybody goes like, "Oh, I hate Samurai." But then when they try to go off and do something completely different, they don't like it, and it's more like you either have to find that sweet spot or it doesn't do it. So if you adapted Zenkaiger, doesn't work because it's too silly at times. But if you adapted Don Brothers, it's like there's two different like Japanese stories which may not kind of translate like very, very well. So when you look at like say Japan of how they're now handling it, it feels like the Reigns of Saban were on there, and it's like, oh, you've got to make it like this. And now it's gone. It's like, oh, we can experiment with different stories. So I think that when you transition them, it's not working very well. And Japan's gone, well, we're okay with this now. You guys do what you want, use our suits, but do what you want.
Yeah.
I think that's possible because I don't know if anyone remembers this, but there was a show called Ultraman Towards the Future. I don't know. Does anyone remember that?
I don't. Like this is why you're on the show, Ash, for these deep cuts. Yeah. I have no idea what you're talking about, but shoot.
So what it was an Ultraman show, but it used the premise of Ultraman, but it was filmed in Australia, so it had Australians doing American accents and stuff like that. So it was sort of like what we get now with Power Rangers, where it's using the concept with American footage. So I think that's possible that we can get a Power Rangers show that uses the concept with the rubber suits and the Ranger suits and stuff like that and do its own thing. I mean, we've got the comics where that doesn't adapt the Sentai. It uses the concept of the suits, but it's not sort of doing a one-for-one adaptation of, like, I don't know, Q Ranger or Zoaldra and stuff like that. It's just doing its own thing, doing its own story.
Power Rangers finds itself in this very unique landscape because it does have 30 years of continuity. 100% it has 30 years of continuity. But does it have 30 years of fluid continuity? And I think that any creator coming on would have to look at that as a daunting task, because are you kind of creating a new story based on that 30-year continuity? Or are you fixing that 30, like wasting your time fixing the 30-year continuity? Or is it just easier to cut your losses and start with something brand new? Now, there's two ways to look at this, I think, from my perspective as a fan. The first way to look at it is if you want to continue on with that 30-year continuity that we've invested time and built into, there's two ways to do it. One, which Ash has been covering week to week here at the Illuminerdi, is through the comic books. It's a great way to visually tell the story, and there's not necessarily a budget that you're putting in a comic book. But the second way to do that is let's Simon Bennett, and let's see what Simon Bennett does with the 30th anniversary. But just because just because Jenny is taking over one Power Ranger franchise doesn't mean there can't be two.
I get you.
Let's have one that kind of still markets and targets those kids and sells the toys to those kids, and still continues on with our 30-year continuity. But also, let's start with something fresh that may tell an advanced story for some of us adult fans that we can get invested to as well. There's nothing that says both can't be true. The only thing that is the deterrent here is, can both be profitable?
Yeah.
That's the real question. Us as fans, like we would want stuff like that, but will we turn out to go see both things like that? You know what I mean? Will we go out and actively support both things, both Power Ranger properties like that? What says you guys?
I think, I mean, I'd support it. I mean, if they produce stuff like 4 different versions, 5 different versions, it's getting more out there. I mean, it's not like you have to watch the series and go, oh, I can't read the comic books. Or if you start reading the comic books, I can't watch the show. So, you know, a lot of people watch Power Rangers and Super Sentai. So I feel like if you had more to show, I think people would fall behind, get behind it and go, yeah, I'm on board. I'd be on board for anything that they produce. But if they make something like ridiculously kiddish, like, you know, like Spider-Man and His Amazing Friend type thing, where it's like it doesn't fit. But if it's more like, you know, canon, then Netflix, then comic books and movies, I'd be all for it.
Chezzer, I have a question for you. What are some of the lessons that Jenny Klein can learn from the 2017 movie?
Ooh, some of the lessons she can learn, because I feel like she's gonna be coming out of the same element of or the same world that,
which is exactly my point, and I think this is such a fascinating question.
The same world that, what was his name, Dean Israelite came out of, and I think that she can. I think one thing that he made a mistake in was finding the perfect balance between telling a full story about these characters and still keeping the essence of what Power Rangers is, or what people think Power Rangers is. I think that's an easy thing for someone to learn, like just based off reception. I think that she's gonna have it easier because the framework that she saw that didn't work is already, you know, she already saw what happened. So I think that, you know, her, if let's say, imagine, what is she given? What's her timetable? She gets a season, maybe like at the least maybe 10 episodes or so, at the least, you know. She has the time to kind of write it out and frame it perfectly that it fits the narrative that she wants to tell, but it also appeases the new fans and old fans. And I mean, we've seen storytelling told in like 10 episodes and still while still feeling short, still giving you that, you know, that fulfillment as far as the things that you want to see. I mean, Disney Plus is doing it constantly. Freaking Netflix does it all the time. And I think that seeing what Dean did with his movie and being able to translate it into a long form format it will be easier. I think Dean had his back against the wall and pretty much had to try to reinvent the wheel when the wheel didn't really need to be reinvented. And all you have to do is look at other successful franchises, other successful shows and stuff, and just no, I'm not saying copy, but just replicate the format.
Ash, let me ask you the super chat. Thomas DeCoste, thank you so much for that super chat. He says, could we get an MMPR revision 2.0 for 2023?
If he's referring to the MMPR revision or reversion we got in 2010, I hope not.
I would hate that.
I hope not.
Well, let's take that a step further. Let's take this one step further. Do you think that our 30th anniversary could be an MMPR season, but not necessarily the ones we've seen? A brand new MMPR season, not necessarily with the new Dino powers, but a continuation of a story that we already know, where we are finding like this Yin character, which is obviously Trini's daughter, and surrounding it around a new story, but one that already takes place in the continuity of Power Rangers. Do you think that MMPR season can be on the table for this 30th anniversary?
Oh yeah, I'd love that. Sort of like a 30 years later, where are they now with these characters? Because that's what a lot of people always ask.
Maybe not even where are these now, but introducing us to one of our character that keeps us connected to the greater universe would be this Yin character, which would be Trini's daughter for all intents purposes. But another new group of teenagers that she meets along the way that are from Angel Grove or Stone Canyon. I think it'd be interesting if they were all from Stone Canyon, which is a city that we hadn't really seen much of. But do you think that can be our new season with new characters ripped out into the world?
Oh yeah, that'd be great as well. Having a brand new cast of characters we can meet, and maybe somehow they're sort of tied or connected into the original cast in some shape or form. Like, not even make them be like the sort of like relatives of like our main 5 or 6 Rangers. Like, maybe one of the new Rangers is related to Bulk or Skull. That'd be pretty cool as well. Sure.
I mean, I would love to see a descendant of Lieutenant Stone somewhere in there. I think would be really cool.
Wow, that's a deep cut.
Maybe I don't know. Hey, maybe there's like, I don't know, like an Appleby or a Kaplan kid running around, from some
the grandson of Ernie.
Grandson of Ernie. I mean, there's a handful of legacy characters that don't need to be a direct one-on-one from their Power Ranger parentage. And I think that, see, in all honesty, I think that one thing that Power Rangers, and look, at the end of the day, we're talking about a kid show, and we're all aware of this. But in terms of that storytelling, it didn't have to be that deep. But now that we're kind of, look, just the way that we're consuming content, the way kids are consuming content, we want deeper stories told especially throughout time. Mark, you have Doctor Who out there, and Doctor Who took a long break in between like the early 2000s to the late 90s, early 2000s, right around there. When Doctor Who went on hiatus, it still continued to tell its storylines and continued to carry over its continuity. With Power Rangers, do you think that it lends itself well to just starting over again, or do you think that they should continue to tell the continuity they've been building up for the last 30 years?
I think if you took it off the air like Doctor Who and came back in like a couple of years, I feel like if you did take it off, I don't think it'd restart again, because as much as with Doctor Who, it's always had the fan base regardless, and it's been going on for so many years. And even though it followed the same formula, it came back and it was just like, oh, this is fine, and it had good writing behind it. With Power Rangers, I feel like if you take it off the air, it's gone. If they did continue it, I think that maybe as someone mentioned with Yen at least, I feel like that's a good way, and having it so it's maybe it could be the Descendants or it could be someone completely different. I feel like if you're telling a story that's interesting, it will gravitate round. But at the other side, people will just go, oh, it's Mighty Morphing again. And if we'd never had Mighty Morphing, forced in our faces all the time, I feel like it could possibly work, because it'd be like, oh my god, Mighty Morphing. Now it's more kind of like, oh, it's Mighty Morphing. So if they did it completely different, it would work. I don't know if it would survive, like, say, Doctor Who, because even though that's turned quite bad quite recently, it's still, you have to bring back David Tennant for this new version. And it's like, is that going to save it, or is it going to be bad?
So, what's interesting, something I didn't really think of until right now, is that I know that we're talking about the legacy of these great shows continuing, but we've already been introduced to one of the Mighty Morphin Legacy characters already, not just in comics, but in live action as well. I mean, we haven't seen the character live action yet, but we do know that JJ exists in the universe. And JJ, at this point in 2023, he'd be about the age of like a Ranger would be, because isn't he like a kid when we meet him in Dimensions of Danger? It's like a young kid, right? So he would probably be a teenager in 2023. What's the possibility that JJ is a prominent character within that season as well?
Oh, very possible. Got to have that descendant of Tommy in there some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Well, it would work well because in the Zeo episode, it's like, you know, he runs out the house and they're like, we know what he's doing, and it's like they figure it out beforehand. So even if you had JJ come back and you didn't even have JDF be involved, I think it would work. And I think people have been screaming out for ages, like, well, we want to know what happens more. Like, I know they wanted Jenna to come back or to actually be it, so it carries on the legacy of it. But JJ, I think, would probably work because we know he's an SPD. So I think it would work. I think it's just how they implement it.
Yo, if the 30th season has already kind of like SPD recruiting, like right now at the ground level, I think would be really cool for 20 and have, you know, right, and have kind of like JJ teetering on whether he's going to join SPD or not, or whether he joins this new like Ranger team that Yin's a part of. I mean, I feel like there's elements of this story that just writes itself, that isn't necessarily reliant on its past Rangers to really carry it. And I think that should really be the beauty of this 30th anniversary. Not necessarily, I mean, it should be celebrating the past 30 years, but it really should be looking forward for the next 30 years, because we all want Power Rangers to be around for the next 30 years. In terms of this Jenny Klein announcement, though, what can we expect as fans from bringing her on to the show?
I generally think, like,
at whatever iteration the show is.
If you've watched Jessica Jones, if you've watched all the stuff that she's done, like,
yeah,
I mean, I haven't watched Cloak and Dagger. I think I started watching it a little bit, but with Jessica, it was more kind of, it told a story. It told stuff like in the first one, like you have Kilgrave, and he's like, oh, I'm now going to mess up. I want Jessica back, and that's the whole progress. And it works so well, even the fight scenes or even some of it. So I think that with Jenny coming on board, I feel like we're going to get that sort of storytelling. So I think that we may get 20 episodes or we may get 10, but I feel like we'll get a proper story flushed out where we could see stuff behind, like, oh, here is SPD or here is this. I want it to be good, and I hope she delivers on it.
I think she will. With Cloak and Dagger, like you were saying about Jessica Jones, the story was pretty fleshed out. Like the main goal was to figure out the mystery behind their family's death or whatever. And the way that it played out, like every single episode kind of, you know, lent itself to the main goal and the you know, finale of this whole thing. And I think that if she's fully in control of the story, I think that she's going to emphasize a lot of storytelling and character development. And if that's the way that they want to go with Power Rangers, I think it'll be cool. And I think that you know, talking
Chester,
to
do you think
audience,
the tone of her
what is it?
Do you think the tone of her story that they're going to be telling is going to be more along the lines of like a Cloak and Dagger, like that?
Maybe
tone?
a little bit lighter. Maybe like
Runaways.
Yeah, I feel like Runaways is a more an easier, like, digestible, like, story. Yeah, I think like Runaways, like a tier above like a CW show, without the angst and the whininess of it, but still.
Yeah, she was a writer on Supernatural, so she does have that CW angst and
Supernatural
vibe
was
going
like
for it.
a different part, like
Yeah,
it wasn't like
above whatever they put out
Riverdale
with the
and
superhero
Vampire
stuff, yeah.
Diaries or something. Supernatural was it was great. Like even when it got bad, it got bad, and they leaned into it. And, you know, credit to Jensen Ackles,
she was the writer. Yeah, sorry to cut you off, but she was like the writer on Supernatural from season 4 up to 2016 when I was checking her
so that was actually
IDW page.
That was actually like prime time of Supernatural, when they really kind of.
Yeah, she's done a lot of episodes.
And they really found their element. The first few seasons, they kept leaning into the dark part of, you know, the supernatural world. But then, from then on, they kind of sometimes a little bit sometimes broke the fourth wall and kind of just leaned into a lot of the meta-ness of that world. So I think that, I mean, if she adds that element, I think that'd be fun.
Do you think that Jenny Klein is going to bring more of the element of kind of the sci-fi nature of Power Rangers, or more of like pulling from the supernatural, a little bit of the darker nature of Supernatural? Like, where do you think her kind of like storytelling is going to be with when she gets to Power Rangers? I mean, is this essentially going to be like a sci-fi type of show, or a teen angsty CW type of show?
I mean, it could.
Or Karate Kid, or
Cobra
Karate Kid, or whatever.
It
Cobra
could
Kai.
be. It could be. I mean, one of the things that maybe they should look at if they do want to add legacy to it is like that rebooted Saved by the Bell and how they handle it. And I know it's not the same tone, but how they handled using the legacy characters or the returning characters. But it could work.
Now, we do got a little bit in the chat here. Mariba says he expects the reboot to be out by 2024, possibly 2025. Via game, let's see, sci-fi show is what Donnie Pearson is kind of looking for. Look, let's talk about this. When do you think that we'll see Jenny Klein's effect on Power Rangers? When do you think we'll see your fingerprints on it? My guess is the earliest we'll see that is 2024.
I agree.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, if they run it, so if Simons runs next year and it goes on for the entire year, I think by the end of it, early 2024. I just hope that they kind of lock in together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, you mean coordinate with what Simon's doing with what this new universe is doing?
Yeah, so if they do whatever is next, so if it's an adaptation of like Zoodra, if it's Dino Fury, they think let's keep going with that. Like if they lock it in and go, okay, we do it like say in a way like Sentai, where it's like we'll start in like say February, and then we get one a week until the end of December type thing, and then it's like, oh, you wait 3 months and then here it comes, and then maybe do a cameo where you get Russell comes in and he's just like, oh my god, this is a new world, or even if they, I'd love it if they hinted at it like in the middle of Dino Fury season, like the second part. It's like, oh my god, I saw another world and there's another ranger just standing there with the back. Love it.
So ironically, I think that the one, I know that Jonathan Entwistle's tweet said something along the lines of like, it'll be faces you're familiar with.
New universe.
Yeah, new universe,
but
but some faces you might be familiar with. If I had to guess who one of those faces, if we're saying that it's somebody from Power Rangers past, because the way that I kind of took that is like, if faces you might be familiar with might be actors we might be familiar with, but if it is characters we might be familiar with, I think the one character that will translate over kind of seamlessly is going to end up being Dr. K.
Ooh.
Because I do think that Dr. K is one of the characters, especially in a darker tone. You imagine if we get like to hear her RPM just in the way that it's supposed to be shown. I think Dr. K is an easy character that could possibly, and we already know that she has the ability to dimension hop within the Power Ranger universe.
Yeah.
So I think
she invent those?
What's
I
that?
can't remember.
It's Time Force.
Didn't she invent those devices?
Which is exactly why I think. Well, Time Force is an interesting. I put it this way: I think that we'll definitely see Time Force officers, whether or not we'll see Jen Scotts or any of the other characters we know. Played by the same actors, I don't know, but I definitely think Time Force has to have a presence in this because it's such a that and SPD are such a well-established benchmarks of the Power Ranger universe that are easy enough to carry over into a major sci-fi type of show if that becomes a sci-fi type of show. Because if it stays at the ground level, kind of like that Cobra Kai level, then we're talking about something completely different because then they really are starting from something completely different. So who knows? I mean, I think right now is a really exciting time to be a Power Ranger fan, but there's a lot of question marks out there, right? And we can't forget, because Simon Bennett's not done yet. We still have another half of a season to close out Dino Fury, which I'm really excited about.
We don't even know when that's going to happen. I think it's coming soon. I think they might. I think they might drop that July 1st, same time as Stranger Things. I think so. I think that. I think so? I think it's coming soon.
Maybe. Because they dropped it on like a Tuesday for season 2, part 1. So because it's like Power Rangers, and it's like more focused towards the kids, I think they can drop that whenever, due to the bingeable nature of like whatever the free time like the target audience is. Because Friday is a good time to drop something like Stranger Things or your BoJack Horseman's where people binge that over the weekend. I think with Power Rangers, just drop it whenever and it should do well. But seeing how it's like summertime in America, school holidays and stuff like that, they could drop it whenever in July. My theory is.
I think July would be a good time.
We do have a question for you, Ash, in the super chat. He says, "Do you think Lord Zedd could be the main villain for the 30th anniversary season?" That is by Johnny Mario. Do you think that Lord Zedd can be the villain for the 30th season?
Seeing how Dino Fury Season 2 Part 2 ends, we'll see if he survives or not. Maybe he gets away.
I mean, Joe, you did
ask
him in the interview. He said that, where does he think Lord Zedd is? And he said he's somewhere on a different planet, licking his wounds and plotting his next attack.
Lord Zedd wields a dark power capable of overwhelming Power Rangers and villains alike. Upon his return, Lord Zedd nearly defeated the Dino Fury Rangers before unexpected invention saved them from his wrath. He withdrew to a distant planet to plot his next move and his revenge against the Power Rangers. So we definitely know Lord Zedd's coming back.
Yeah,
right?
He's definitely coming back. I mean, that's a missed opportunity if they drop him in like that and then just have him disappear and not come back.
We also have to assume too that Mick is coming back for the end of Dino Fury at some point in time.
I mean, and we know
so that
General. What's her name? Shaw.
Amanda Shaw
is coming back.
Her resume was leaked like last year. They show that she had like an acting credit in Dino Fury.
So she's coming back. So it's figuring out how that plays part, and I think that's cool.
Maybe. Go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. If she comes back, I want literally most of the budget going on like SWAT cars, everything, like big massive van, and it's just the staff. That's it, and it's in an oversized van, and then just doing it, and Lord Zedd just busts in and like kicks them all out, and I want a whole action scene of something like that.
I'm imagining that scene from that terrible movie X3 where Magneto breaks out Mystique from that moving convoy.
Oh yes.
And then it's just
we're multiple mans in there,
but it's just Lord Zedd doing all of it, and then he's just to get his staff, and then he's just like, yes.
We do have another person in the chat, Robert Venezuela. Thank you so much for joining us. Look, I think we're coming to a close here, but if we have any final thoughts on Jenny Klein and her taking over power, or being, I don't want to say taking over because that's the wrong way, her being the new showrunner that's announced for Power Rangers, what are you excited most about this change? Or about this news? It's not really a change, but...
I think with the news, I'm excited because of all the credits. If it was someone really random that had one credit on something, I would be like, But seeing her list of like Supernatural, Jessica Jones, Cloak and Dagger, and all these other things as well, I'm excited because it means that it's going to be a fresh, like a new fresh of life into it. And that's what I'm more excited about. What we get is something completely different. But for now, I'm like, do you know what? If I can see this, and if it does well on Netflix, it brings in people that have not watched it for ages and gone, oh, I'm just going to check this out. And it brings more people into it. I think it's going to do really well.
Nice.
Jester, how about yourself, buddy?
I think that everything's going to be good. I think that depending on where she falls in line as far as what they want to do the franchise, I think that they made a choice to bring her in for a reason, and I think that I really do think Simon Bennett still has some part in I think he has fully a job for season 30, but I think he also has some part in the future of Power Rangers also, because just listening to that interview with him, he's so enthusiastic and he's still invested in the brand, and I highly doubt that they're gonna let an asset like that go. There's so many dedicated producers out there that really get themselves into that world, and you don't really just let them walk away.
Yeah.
How about you, Ash?
What everyone else has said, what won me over with Jenny was her resume, because they could have had someone who's had no experience, they haven't worked on many shows, but as soon as I Googled Jenny's name and saw what she's worked on, that's what won me over. And I think it's in good hands with her, whatever she's going to do. So whatever tone or script she's going to bring to the series, I'm definitely
Would you
looking
guys
forward
say
to
that?
it.
Yeah, I
Would you
think
guys say that you're more confident with her than Entwistle's resume?
Yeah, definitely. Because Entwistle, I had heard people had watched what he's done, like End of the Effing World, which I haven't seen, but I heard good things about. But the stuff that Jenny's done, I had seen The Witcher, I've seen Supernatural, I've seen Jessica Jones. I've heard good things about Cloak and Dagger. So a lot of stuff that Jenny's done, a lot of people are familiar with, and I kind of got that engagement when I posted my video about her, where people said, "Oh, I like Jessica Jones," so I think it's in good hands. So seeing that she's done stuff that people are familiar with, I think that puts a lot of faith in her.
Jonathan Entwistle, I feel, understands teen angst, so it feels like they're definitely the roots of Power Rangers are, teenagers with attitudes, and I think that like that is the direction we could end up going. But I don't want to discredit anything Simon Bennett has done, mainly because like I agree with you guys. Jenny Slate's her film credentials are they speak
Jenny
for
Klein.
themselves. I think she knows how to. Sorry, what
Jenny
did I say?
Slate.
Jenny Slate.
Slate.
Oh, she's an actress. She was in the first Venom movie. She's also a comedian. But Jenny Klein, I meant to say Jenny Klein. We obviously her filmography speaks for itself. The show running ability is going to be something interesting for her to deal with Power Rangers. But I'm fully confident in her creative ability because I think the one thing that Power Rangers needs the most is good creators on it. And same thing with Simon. They might not have been shows that he was on prior that I knew, but the dude knows how to tell great stories, and he understands. Like Jezer was saying, just to kind of follow up on that, I think he is an asset going forward to the future of Power Rangers. Somebody that's invested so much of their time, effort, heart, and energy into the show to try to make it as best they can, especially with limitations. I want to say first season limitations, but limitations on Power Rangers for what it is. I think the dude is getting the best he can and turning it into lemonade. And I think that if you were actually able to give him kind of a free reign to do the story that he wanted to do in Power Rangers, I think that could also be a phenomenal story to tell. And I hope that honestly he has something to do with the whatever reunion special looks like and whatever the 30th season looks like. I hope he definitely has his fingerprints all over it, because the one thing we can all agree on as Ranger fans is that we absolutely love the callbacks that he's been doing in his current season. I think above all else, that's been phenomenal. That's been a fantastic job he's been doing with that. As far as Jenny Klein goes, I'm excited to see what she brings to the table, because we already know that she can tell good stories. But now it's going to be the question is, can you tell good Power Ranger stories? And I think she can. I think she can. And that's another fine line thing too, because Power Rangers does have to have certain elements to it in order for it to be considered Power Rangers. But I'd like the fact that we could be getting something completely new. I'm excited about that. Really excited about that, actually. But you know what? Right now is a great time to be a Ranger fan. I feel like there's something for everybody. And once we get that animated series going, there really will be something for everybody. So hopefully we get that coming soon. We get an announcement on that. But guys, I think that's a good place to call the show. Ash, what time is it in Australia there, buddy?
It is nearly 6 a.m.
The sun is coming up. It's
a
beautiful day. Happy Father's Day in Australia already. If you guys celebrate Father's Day, which I'm sure you guys do. But yeah, man, thank you guys so much for joining us here on the Ranger Nation discussion and the Ranger wrap up. Ash, where can everybody find you on social media, my friend?
You can find me at Deoxy360 on Twitter, Instagram, and I was going to say Facebook, not on Facebook. But yeah, you can find me at Deoxy360 on Instagram and Twitter and on my YouTube page.
And where
I talk about Power Rangers.
Yes, what's the next video you have coming out, Ash?
Oh, what's the next video? I'll probably have a Don Brothers review on Monday, but Wednesday, I believe Godzilla versus Mighty Morphin Power Rangers issue 4 is coming out.
And his YouTube link is in the description below. Heirloom, where can everybody find you, sir?
You can find me everywhere bar Twitter at Heirloom, but you can find me on Twitter as at Mainstream Live.
Nice.
And what's your next video going to be about?
The next one that I've got up is the Super Megaforce acting wasn't that bad.
Oh, there you go.
Crazy.
There you go.
Is that an April Fool's video?
I guarantee I'm going to get but Super Megaforce was really bad, and Troy was so wooden. He was like this, and I that, and I'm going to be like, well, whatever you want.
Yeah, no, I've made the defense that it was just the directing and stuff like that.
Well, look, go and check out Heirloom. His links are also in the description below. Jezzer, where can everybody find you, my friend?
You can find me everywhere at Jezzer Zeus, right there.
And you can find me in your hearts and in your minds talking about Power Rangers every single week right here at the Ranger Wrap-Up. You can follow me on social media at Joe Illuminerdi, even though I hardly use it. I'm going to be on Twitter this week. I'm coming back to Twitter. I'm going to be tweeting up Power Rangers. I was going to say tweeting up a storm. Tweeting up a lightning storm, if you will. Thank you so much to my fellow cast members, Jezzer, Mark, Ash, Liz, Dan,
Josh
Perry. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Please hit that like, share, and subscribe button to stay up to date with everything trending in geek
pop culture.
Thank you so much.